Thresh pairs really well with the Aphelios and the Jinx, and Caitlyn is already banned out, so it's like you kind of already have your bot lane set if you grab this.
Yep.
Now, CLG obviously made the decision to leave this up, so I'm hoping that they have an answer that they are going to be happy to play in, and they're not just fully ceding lane control, because that's not something you want to do against Hansama. If you let him get out of lane for free, he is very good in the mid and late game stages. Can definitely be a threat, but CLG's bot lane was looking pretty good themselves. They are going towards the Ezreal, so it does feel like they are going to seed lane at least somewhat. Luger, I think, has been very impressive in the first couple games. A lot of excitement around this guy. You know, we've been kind of having those talks around these players who have won MVP in some of the smaller regions coming over to the LCS. They are extremely talented and obviously have the ability to really rise up and be very, very successful here. Luger is in that box, and Jenkins grabbing an early Gwen, it looks like.
Yeah, this Gwen pick coming out nice and early here. A lot of times we'll see solo laners put off towards later on in the draft. Jungle picks, AD carry picks often feel safer to draft earlier, but no, they want Jenkins on that Gwen here as Jinx is locked in for the side of TL. Jinx Thresh, man, feels good.
It's interesting because it does kind of put a little bit of pressure on you. So, you know, do you grab your jungle here or do you actually answer the Gwen pick, right? You know, you kind of have those two choices, and either way, CLG will be able to get some sort of an edge, presumably. When you are playing with the Ezreal, I think that the support pairing is kind of a little bit less important. You can go aggressive with something like a Karma if you want to try to contest the lane, but likely you're going to be pushed in either way. So, yeah, they may go towards a roaming support. This would be really interesting. If you go towards Akshan, that would be pretty exciting. We're not going to get a Lucian solo lane, so now I think he's just trolling us.
Right.
So we'll just wait and see what does get locked in. But it is Viego, so you know they are going to be able to ban out some of these picks that could be difficult for Gwen to deal with.
Yeah, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I don't like Viego for Team Liquid because it doesn't feel like a Santorin-style champion to me. Santorin always feels like he doesn't require a lot of resources. He's an excellent enabler for everybody else on the team, but Viego's not a team player. He was the main character of the entire last year. The dude has to be center stage, and it just doesn't feel like it works as well with the way Team Liquid plays the game when they're at their best.
I agree, but at the same time, if there's a moment to experiment, it is lock-in, right? You know, if you feel, hey, Santorin already has total mastery of Trundle, of these types of picks, which I think he does, then get the extra reps in on some of these other picks, because if you really pigeonhole yourself this early on, when it comes time for playoffs, it gets very easy to target these players and to create advantages in drafts. So you want to stay flexible. On the other side, CLG does go Yuumi, so strong pairing for the bot lane, but also an incredibly strong pairing with Gwen. Gwen plus Yuumi ulting over top is threatening, and they are banning out some of these dangerous top lane picks. Bwipo is a bit of a mad lad with what he's willing to play,
play all kinds
which
of stuff,
I
man.
love.
It's
like,
great.
His Scion build was super cool yesterday, and you know, Urgot going to be getting banned out. We saw him do Hullbreaker Redemption, you know, Scion, which was I think actually made a lot of sense. And
Bwipo's a fun player to watch.
He is so fun. I just think that the way he thinks about the game is very unique among pro players. Most pro players, their strategy is more about emulation and perfection. You know, they see something done, they say, okay, Corki is the best champion. I'm going to play Corki 7,000 times, and I'm going to play Corki perfectly, right? And Bwipo, I think, kind of thinks about the game a little bit differently and kind of marches to the beat of his own drum sometimes, where he'll have his own take on what the correct build is or what the correct way to actually play the game is. And it can make him really, really fun to watch because, you know, I always think back to All-Stars when he was the 1v1 champion. And I remember getting to talk to him about some of his thought process for these matchups, and it was just like Gigabrain. It was really, really cool to think about how he looked at the game. Everybody
else is playing checkers, and he's playing four-dimensional, full-contact Scrabble. The man just knows.
Full-contact Scrabble sounds kind of fun, though.
Oh, yeah, man. It's a gladiatorial sport.
What happens if you knock the pieces off the board?
Changes every game. Just there's no
that's
rules.
That's
it's a wasteland. That's part of it.
Okay.
Anyway, we got Talon banned out. We got Mundo banned out. CLG only got one more second to make that pick in the jungle here in Hecarim for Contractz.
Hecarim. Another
champion that's good with Yuumi.
Exactly. A really, really strong pairing there. Now you kind of have some dive buddies here. You're setting up a little bit of a comp that can kind of go in. The answers will be interesting on the TL side. What do they want to pick in the top side? Singe is actually a pretty good matchup in solo queue at the very least into the Gwen, and that is kind of a Bwipo special, so it'd be interesting to see if he wanted to go that sort of a route. I do think some of the range matchups that can scale alongside her can also work really well. Kayle is actually quite effective into the Gwen, but not a common thing. I wouldn't be surprised to see tank from TL. They've been drafting for pretty much for 5v5 almost exclusively in all their games. So you could go something like the Scion, you could go Ornn, you could do that sort of approach if Bwipo doesn't want to go for more of a 1v1 counter.
Do you like the Corki here for Bjergsen? I never dislike seeing that champion in the current state of the meta. He's just so overwhelmingly powerful and has so many good situations to pick him. But Graves up in the top lane for Bwipo.
So he is going to go for a more aggressive approach. We have seen a little bit of Graves top recently. Broken Blade, if you've been watching any of the LAC, has been playing pretty much exclusive marksman up in the top side. Graves really can shove in early, can be a bully. You know, works well, I think, alongside the Viego. You push in very heavily, you try to play for top lane prio, move towards Heralds, take objectives, you know, really try to snowball through that because, again, Graves will struggle in the later stages. You know, similarly to Kennen, I don't think it's as bad as what kind of Kennen deals with. Kennen really falls off in the 1v1. But if you get some heal cut, you get the Rift Maker, you're going to start winning 1v1s against Graves as this Gwen. So Bwipo was going to have to be successful early. And I will say that TL is really light on engage for the style that they play. TL generally plays very heavily about 5v5, about setting up around objectives, scale up, show up to objective, start the fight, go for it. Really, you're now relying on complete vision denial and hooks, right? You know, you have triple marksman,
Thresh, man.
you have Viego. It's really all on Eyla here to be able to actually create the action, whereas on the other side, there's such easy go buttons. Strap Yuumi to the horse and let him go wild.
Giddy up.
Yep.
That's how they're going to do it.
Ride him, cowboy.
I do like Team Liquid, like, putting that faith in Eyla, though. A lot of people would look at this roster and say, well, damn it, if there's one piece of the puzzle you don't want missing, it's Core JJ.
Yeah.
But they're saying, hey, it's fine. The man studied under Core JJ.
Core J Jr. right here.
Yeah, exactly. He's the apprentice, and they're putting their faith in him to get it done. So I'm curious how well he can keep it going. We saw the highlight Thresh play yesterday where he was able to make some crazy stuff happen. So I'm looking forward to some more of it. Meanwhile, over here on the side of CLG, again, the Ezreal Yuumi, as you were talking about earlier, you don't pick Ezreal to win your lane usually. Sometimes you can, but Yuumi's not exactly a powerful laner either.
Yeah.
So just sort of expecting these guys to scale up a bit.
Yeah, it scales really, really well. I do like the scaling on CLG's side, I think much more. Yes, there's Corki Jinx on one side, but I just think it's much easier to play out the game as CLG. If it goes to the later stages and we're at parity, Gwen runs down a side lane, is winning 1v1s there. You have really good hard engage and backline access without a tremendous amount of peel. Yes, Thresh can try to kind of sully things up and make it difficult to reach backline, but it's very easy for lasers and Viktor ult and Ezreal ult to come over top with a Hecarim ulting in with Yuumi attached and to knock down these marksmen, because at the end of the day, it's triple marksmen, and they are going to be very vulnerable here on that TL side.
I feel like I've literally never seen this skin before because ever since it came out...
Astro Corki?
Yeah, because ever since it came out, the only skin that I see for Corki is the dog one.
Yeah.
Everybody loves the dog.
The butt wiggling is pretty high tier.
Yeah.
But as far as like the actual effects,
this one
is way cooler. Like look at the like the rocket pack on the back.
Yeah,
that's an S tier skin.
This one's badass, but it's not a dog. That's the problem.
It doesn't have a butt that wiggles. And when you really look at that as that is the most important category when you're comparing skins is, does the skin have a dog butt that wiggles? And that's why it's really difficult to compete with some of those skins.
One of the first skins I ever bought in this game was a butterfly Kog'Maw because he tries to jump, and I just found it so
But does it
inspiring.
have a dog butt that wiggles?
No, that's the thing.
There
he
you
has
go.
a butterfly butt. You can spam his butt wiggle at other people.
Okay.
But there's not a whole lot of just general butt wiggling going on there.
Yeah,
Bjergsen is trying to wiggle his way back to the turret with 200 HP left. Palafox getting the better of him here in that trade. Of course, CLG didn't have the Viktor band away from him this time, so they don't have to play the Syndra or something like that into the Corki. They get to have the other S-tier mid laner here in that Viktor. So, and yes, all of you inevitably spamming in Twitch chat, that is Viktor from Arcane, as Team Liquid tries to just keep control here in the bottom side as well.
Don't encourage them. They'll start spamming too much. The laptops will get hot.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Their mom's going to tell them to calm down. But Bjergsen's still just trying to maintain that distance here. Yeah, he's not having a fun time in this 1v1.
I mean, he's already used all his corrupting potion charges. He has to base. Like, that's horrible. He got a really good level 1 trade, which I feel like unironically baited them into a false sense of security. Like, he started Gatling gun level 1, which is super standard, but he got basically the entire Gatling gun hit onto Palafox and kind of got a level lead. But you're going against an airy Viktor. This is built for that lane.
Whoa. Contractz will at least be able to grab his Gromp. It is a 3v3 here. Remember that Yuumi's attached to Hecarim at this point. But Team Liquid just going to go ahead and back on out after CLG are able to successfully defend their jungle.
Yeah, so not the best buy for Bjergsen. He at least gets a tier. You know, he's not on full poor duty, but wow, we didn't actually notice this before. Bwipo is dirty farming here. He can get chased down. He's got no mana. That's a ghosted Gwen.
Bwipo just gets back over the wall though, but Jenkins is ready to chase. He's still very fast here. Bwipo still having flash to get further away if he needs to, and yes, he will. But that, remember, Ghost is a significantly lower cooldown than flashes.
The one thing that goes in Bwipo's favor, though, is Jenkins gave up the wave to the tower to actually go for this chase. So if you can't punish the summoners being down, Bwipo is ahead gold. He even takes away the topside scuttle. So it is double scuttle for TL. Santorin got bot. Bwipo gets top, and
oh, nice flash play right into the chompers coming out from Eyla. But Luger and Poome do a great job fighting back, and they actually win out in that trade.
Yeah, that was huge. Poome detached to tank the hook actually there. So if you don't do that, Luger just dies because he can get ignited, he can get finished off. Instead, you block the hook on the Yuumi. Ezreal comes out of that play and starts firing back, able to get a lot of damage down, but just seeing how Bwipo plays these lanes, I think is just so interesting. There's not a lot of players that would be proxy farming on Graves at level 3, right?
Yeah, it's not a usual dynamic.
But this is just one of those things where he's like, nah, man, I figured it out. This is actually how you play the matchup. You just proxy farm him, you make him farm at the tower, you make him make these tough choices of, is he going to come and try to chase me down? Is he actually going to answer the wave? And now that Bwipo's obviously down a summoner without that flash, he is going to play it a little bit more carefully. Right. Knowing the Contractz is clearing up towards top side. And I also think it made sense that they were invading bot side at the same time as he was doing this top, right? So they're kind of getting eyes on Hecarim, so he knew he wasn't just going to get ran down.
And speaking of Hecarim, worth pointing out here that on his first back, Contractz did pick up a tier. So we are going to see either Fimbulwinter or Muramana come out here on this Hecarim. Yeah. This is something I've been doing a lot with Skarner in my own games. The easy stackability of the tier as well as the power of both of those items, whether you're trying to do 1v9 solo queue builds or be the tank for your team, it's very effective. And I expect to see Contractz have a really nice power spike whenever that gets completed. We'll keep an eye on exactly how he's going to be building this champion. Hecarim, historically, you know, you can see sometimes the tank builds. You can see those solo queue torpedo builds sometimes as well. But down here in bottom side, Contractz will be looking for Hansama and Eyla. They'll go after the support first. They're going in all the way. The Thresh has no way home. First blood over to CLG.
The horse, of course. Contractz down to that bot side, punishing Eyla here, and they get those sums out. They get the kill. Gonna be feeling really good about getting that early gank here. When you are playing a scaling jungler like Hecarim, and you get a pre-6 kill, it feels so damn good. Plus, it's going to relieve a lot of the pressure in this 2v2. Palafox, though, in a little bit of trouble.
Bjergsen leading the way. Santorin right next to him, but there's no Viego ulti here. Remember that, but the flash stun might just be enough. Palafox continuing to walk his way out of this one. Santorin still on the chase. Bwipo tries to get the ulti, but it's too short, but it won't matter. Palafox is cut down, and Santorin ties up the game.
Great job by there from Santorin, getting the kill mid. Palafox didn't have the reaction time to get that flash. It was the W flash coming in from Santorin. And once that came through, he's just able to chase him down. So a great kill there in the mid lane. Tip for tap, both junglers getting a kill. But you can see CLG is extending out to a pretty decent gold lead here. 750 ahead. Going to be feeling really good about that.
Well, CLG will shove that wave up here. Bottom side, Eyla just has to farm up whatever he can while his AD carry works his way back towards the lane. Might be able to interrupt the back here. Yep, Lantern's going to see that one, so at least they'll delay CLG a little bit. Luger, of course, getting some poke in return as Eyla barely steps out of the range there of that second one. But hey, man, if you're CLG, you're happy about how the game's been being played thus far. Let's take another look, though, at how Palafox got caught out here.
Yeah, Palafox just trying to run up towards that top side, but his jungler is on bot side, so he's just kiting it out. The gravity field was good. You know, if that actually gets the stun on Santorin, you're out scot-free, but Santorin timing it well, flashing over top of the W there to get the stun, and then Bwipo, the ulti, just short.
Oof.
Just the smoke kind of just puffing out, you know, the damage stops.
The explosion happened close to you, but not close enough. And then bottom side here, Poome just ends up very, very low. Hansama going in, looking for it.
Feels bad.
And then Poome just goes right back over to Luger. And, oh, Hansama, he tries to get out, but the last auto is already in the air, man. There's no more projectile popping in League of Legends. That went away in, what, Season 1, Season 2?
Yeah.
That wasn't there for very long.
Yeah, Poome just had the heal available, and Hans got kind of baited. He got heal baited, honestly. Flashes in there for the last auto, and Poome had enough mana to get that heal off. The cooldown came back up, barely survives. You spend your flash, you go down, and now Hecarim is 6. That is a scary time to be Jinx on the map.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the things that I'm thinking about, too, looking at this composition. If TL find themselves falling further and further behind, 2 powerful enemy divers, both with Ghost, creates a very frightening scenario for an immobile carry, as Contractz has made his way bottom yet again. However, he walks right on top of the control ward there, so he'll clear that one out, but won't really get the gank angle, and Team Liquid takes the opportunity to secure the objective across the map. They're going after the Rift Herald. There hasn't been an early Drake taken ahead of this point. Contract's going to move over now and just go ahead and pick that one up for his team, recognizing, hey, Team Liquid was reinforced from the top side. Let's get this instead. And here's another replay of some action in the bot lane.
Yep, just shifting aggressively there, and just the very edge connects, does force out that cleanse. So, you know, getting the summoner down, we'll see if they can actually repeat and punish that cleanse being down, but that's why you bring it. It looked like he had just gotten out of range, but there's that little lollipop on the end of a lot of these skill shots that can reach out and grab you.
For those of you who don't know what lollipop means, by the way, he's talking about how despite the fact that the projectile looks like it's just a line towards the end, the hit detector will expand slightly, which is all those clips that you've seen before where you pause it and it seems like it jumps to the side real quick.
Exactly.
That's the lollipop.
When you've ever been hooked behind a minion, there's essentially a little circle at the end of the hitbox, and if your champion is inside that circle, even if the projectile doesn't actually hit you, it essentially locks to you. Yeah, and that happens with Nautilus, where you see people get hooked behind a pillar. That happens with Thresh, with Blitz, with a lot of those style of hook champions, and Thresh will get you, and you have to kind of give the respect. It's dangerous playing on the edge there, but Jenkins here up on the top side. 3 TL members are up there.
On some of the bait, just stepping up. If you're Jenkins, you got to know something's funky
Jinx
here.
isn't up there by herself.
Jinx does not walk 3 feet away from you and your Gwen. That just doesn't happen. He actually teleports all the way out. He's just like, you know what? I'm going bot lane. I got to respond to Bwipo. I ain't dealing with it. Damage. But Bwipo just dunks on him as soon as he arrives.
Yeah, don't mess with Graves in front of those towers because he gets the instant Q bounce. Ooh, oh, really good.
Use of W there.
Yeah, going into the zone, being able to actually immune that W and the ult. He could have straight up died. But it's definitely dangerous. That's one of the most difficult parts about actually farming against Graves when you are playing these melee matchups. When you move up for those ranged minions and you're standing between the tower and the minion, he can get the instant detonation with the Graves Q, the end of the line, hit it against the tower, the instant snap, you get an auto, and you can put a tremendous amount of burst because he is going for Eclipse. So going at least for some lethality. We'll see if he goes for more of a tanky style build from here, or if it's going to be straight in Collector and really looking to just kind of zero out some of these champs.
Eyla stepping back out of the way there from some of that poke, emerging from Luger and Poome, who, despite the fact that they're playing the early Ezreal Yuumi lane, not particularly imposing of any sort of threat or danger there, they're still pretty close in terms of farm with Eyla and Hans Sama. As Contractz and Santorin get into a 1v1 here in the river, Contractz wanted that devastating charge damage on Viego, but not quite able to secure it. However, he does have more allies closer, which means Santorin can't take any more.
Yep, don't want to overextend too much, and they know that the Herald is there, so Palafox is going to have to be a little bit careful. Vision control definitely in the favor. Palafox just kind of walked up.
Yeah, Palafox, you didn't want to be there, buddy. Has to flash away just to stay alive. Now, there is only 1 minute left here on this Rift Herald timer for Santorin. He's going to need to use it or lose it here very soon. Contractz continuing to try to contest.
You do not want to be there, Contractz. What are you doing?
Contractz, this is not a good look, buddy. You don't have all the help immediately this time, but they do have enough to take Eyla low. Hans Sama's forced to use both summoner spells to escape as well, so it might have looked dicey there for the horse, but they at least make an exit out of it.
They do, but CLG getting a little bit fast and loose. You know, the flash having to be used by Palafox, you saw Viego was right there in the river fighting over that exact area. You need to be playing towards the bottom side of the map. If you're playing on the other side and Viego comes out of that brush with the Shroud, you just back it up. It's so easy to avoid. So a bit of a careless loss of the summoner there from Palafox, and then Contractz getting a little bit risky, ends up being okay. Jenkins here just continuing to farm up. It is more lethality from Bwipo, so I'm assuming he is just going to go Collector second. And I do think we're going to see, you know, the Muramana build here from Contractz just go into that chem tank. You have the speed up with that. You have the Ghost for all this move speed. Yuumi's going to give you the speed up as well. And then you just use that Muramana for that additional damage, you know, proccing off your Qs, your autos, you know, all these abilities. You can actually get quite a bit of damage using that kind of as your only damage item and then just going mostly pure tank from there.
Yep, Contractz got that Turbo Kim tank ready to go. I love having a go button on those types of champions, right? You know that you've got to commit to this engage. You might as well send it all the way to the moon. Rift Herald is summoned up there in the bottom lane in time. That is going to secure first turret of the game for the side of Team Liquid. 1-2 with the kills favoring CLG, but the gold is in TL's favor. Jenkins will move down here to clear this out. Our second Drake of the game is spawning in about 30 seconds. CLG, of course, have Contractz nearby. Luger and Poome pushing up the mid lane. There's a little bit of vision here in this South River from both sides. You can see control wards there in the mid lane side brush, in the pixel brush. But now that Scryer's Bloom is going to come out, see both of those, as well as the normal ward over the wall. Bwipo can clear that one away, and Team Liquid are ready to step up to the test now.
Really interested to see if Luger is going to be going for the Crown of the Shattered Queen as well as the. Oh, in goes Bwipo.
Holy moly, nice sidestep there from Luger, but now he's got a flash. He's got to get all the way away, but he can't do it. Super Mega Death, rocket out of pocket. There it is. Poome trying to get out as Bjergsen tries to go in. Santorin moving towards the bottom side of the river here as Poome dies to Bjerg, and Team Liquid pick up a couple of kills for no response from CLG. Contractz wants it now, and they know Hans Sama's got no summoner spells to get away, but that horse is in all alone, and CLG falls to pieces in front of Team Liquid.
CLG just take the fight, but your entire bot lane is dead. They're engaging, and it's basically a 3v5 at that point. Very risky stuff from them, and they get punished. They're going to lose the dragon here as well. The gold lead just exploded for TL. They're even going to get the top lane tower. Bjergsen getting so much gold off this exchange. The wheels just kind of fell off for CLG right there.
The wheels fell off, the damn car exploded. The wheels are in the air. What on earth? That was not a good look for CLG. Yeah, there's your goal.
Look how close it was.
Holy cow. It just immediately boomed.
Yeah, that was just not it, man. That was not the kind of play that they were looking for. I mean, credit to Bwipo for starting that off. Such an aggressive initial move on Luger really did get them a lot because they had the package. So there's the package follow-up. Hans Sama's ultimate for that follow-up as well. But, you know, this is the initial play. Bwipo just goes straight in, flash, Q, gets the auto, ulti over the wall, nice sidestep from Luger, flashes out when the package does come through. The exhaust is there also behind Sama to clean him up, and there's just no escaping with this chase down here from Bjergsen, so they get a couple kills. This, I think, was more of an outplay by TL, but this is really questionable. The re-engage from CLG, I think, was much more of a misplay than an outplay because they chose that fight. Contractz is the one going in. Your bot lane is dead. Sure, you see Bjergsen top, but even with him up on the top side, that's a 3v4 at best, and you're missing most of your damage.
Contractz gonna find Bwipo here in the jungle. Bwipo not too afraid of it, just dashes back over the wall, but Contractz ready to follow here with a blast cone. True shot barrage, Gwen ulti. Lots of resources being thrown at Bwipo, but he's already shot the horse! Took him out behind the shed. It's a 1-for-1 and a 1v4.
Off to the glue factory for Contractz, but up on the top side, TL getting something back. Bwipo just playing like an absolute madman on this Graves. You gotta love it. I question the amount of engage they had, their ability to actually start fights, but he's just making stuff happen just by scrapping people. He's ready to go here.
I'm loving it. I'm loving seeing it. I like to see some high-tempo League of Legends. 4,500 gold lead for the side of Team Liquid. The Drakes are 1-1. CLG doesn't have a win condition in that anymore. And going back to what you were talking about, yeah, the first half of the last play was a celebration of TL being better.
Yeah.
The second half of the last play is a condemnation of CLG being worse.
Exactly, and that's one of those things where you just can't afford to make those kind of mistakes against a team like TL for years. They have paid their bills by being so solid in the later stages of the game through team fighting. You can't just give them leads like that. You cannot gift them those sort of plays, and unfortunately CLG did just that. Now they're in a tough spot. They're going to have to dig their way out of it. I mean, I think the pressure really was on TL to create a lead because I think that team composition-wise, CLG has a much easier comp to actually play out.
Yeah.
But now that you're down 4K plus, well, the item leads are going to be there. And TL maybe just kites you back and runs you over with this triple marksman comp.
And it always feels especially bad for me, I think, for Hecarim in particular, when your team overall is very behind. Yeah. Because so much of Hecarim's survivability is that drain tanking off of everybody around who's damage. And when the whole team can't provide that extra gas in the tank for you, it feels like you're so much squishy. even if you have tanky items like a Kintan.
Absolutely. I mean, you just start to get outpaced too, right? They're picking up all these extra kills. Your opponents have additional damage, so you ult in, and it's often just to die from that point. You can see Contractz is falling behind in experience. He's falling behind in gold. The flash forced out there by Luger, who was kind of playing with fire, trying to steal away some of those Krugs, and now TL gonna be able to drop the Herald here on the top side. Luger gets hit by another rocket. It's back to base for him. The walls are closing in on CLG.
It feels so bad. Team Liquid just choking them out of the map right now. Nearly 6,000 gold up. Bjergsen continuing that push. Are we going to get to see another Rift Herald charge here? Okay,
yes,
eyeballs open, but yep, the charge is going to happen. And that's 80% of that tier 3 turret's HP. Yes, these are the ones that can regenerate, but this means if somebody gets caught out, if TL have even a moment to push up, that could disintegrate.
Absolutely. Going to be very, very tough. Bjergsen going, what is the less standard build these days? Looks like he's just going to go for shield bow second. It's not going to be the Luden's play. This is just more auto attack based. If you think you're just going to be hitting frontliners, that you're not going to have access for the poke, I think it can be a smart build. I also think if you're playing against a team that has a lot of sustain, you know, maybe he's saying, hey, Yuumi's just going to heal through a lot of my poke anyway, so you know, rather just kind of maximize your DPS through your consistent damage output with the auto attacks. So bit of a different take, but items coming through. It is also actually Collector second here for Hansama. So that is a very kind of bursty style build. The Zap is going to hurt a lot more. He has the Gale Force here too. The upfront damage is going to be very high from this TL team. If you can hit, you know, a Q ult from Bwipo, if you can have the ult coming across from Hansama, you have that damage following up from Bjergsen, that is really big. But at the very least, CLG get an objective bounty back on that bottom side and some more gold in their pockets.
Unfortunately for them, it's another Drake in the pockets of Team Liquid here. Just as we get past 20 minutes, that third Drake of the game is live, and just as quickly as it spawns, it's gone as Team Liquid secures their second Drake of the game. We now also have Baron on the table, but it doesn't look like anybody's got their eyes on that one too incredibly soon. Palafox shoves out the top lane, just gets that collided into the enemy turret as Bjergsen, half a second too late.
Yeah, that is one of those cases where he hit him before he went back, but there's that split second right at the end of the recall where you can no longer get interrupted. Like, you're going
like
no matter what happens.
Like the last quarter second, I think, 0.25.
Yep, so Palafox reaches that timing. Bjergsen just a little bit slow on the engage there. And Contractz, I mean, this is tough, man. It sucks when you're playing jungle in these situations, and every time you try to go out to a camp, there's not a lot you have access to. Every time he goes up there, the Krugs are being farmed away. The Raptors are being taken. He is not getting a lot of gold at this point. He has this tier, but he's never going to be able to upgrade it into anything. And now TL do pull the trigger on the Baron here. They're trying to get the TP at the very least out from Jenkins. I think they will back off if the TP comes through.
Team Liquid have plenty of damage for it with this triple marksman composition, but now CLG have made it there in time. Yes, it cost them Jenkins' teleport, so at least TL was able to get themselves that sort of a resource advantage, but they had to pull away from the Baron. CLG happy to have stopped that one, but the map is slipping away from them, Isaac.
It is.
You can see the current state of things, TL versus CLG in terms of vision and whatnot. It feels like CLG is trapped on their side of the river. They don't dare look anywhere past.
Absolutely, and really, I think all TL wanted there, I mean, sure, they'd love the Baron if CLG was asleep at the wheel, but really all they wanted was the TP from Jenkins, because, you know, at this stage of the game, TL wants to use this Baron as this kind of way to create activity. They don't want to allow Jenkins just be locked in a side lane against the Graves, because that is going to be beneficial to CLG. If Jenkins can find a 1v1 on Bwipo, if he can continue to actually pressure towers and pick up objective bounties, that buys time and that buys additional gold for them to actually scale and really try to pull back into this game. So now, what is Jenkins doing at this point? He doesn't even have anywhere to farm because TL have full control over this top side, and he can't go bot because he has no TP.
Luger tries to get away here as Santorin comes in. They won't find the execution on the enemy AD carry, but they will find an angle here on the Jenkins. Bwipo keeps on pushing forward. Oh, he goes in and he gets his man. Bwipo with the kill.
Man, Bwipo has just been on fire with these aggressive plays here, flashing on in. Palafox is down to bot side. He's got a TP if they think they can even contest. At best, it'll be the 4v5. He will TP now, and they'll try to poke and prod, but look at how fast it dies. There's 3 marksmen on that thing.
And your AD carry has no summoner spells. This is incredibly risky. Let's see if they can do it.
He whiffed the ult. Palafox put it on nothing.
Chaos Storm's in there. He gets a couple of ticks out, but not a whole lot. Baron's still at 3k. Bwipo's going to be healed there in order to be kept alive. Contractz looking for an angle in. Bwipo's going to stand and fight. 2 for nothing. It's looking so easy for Team Liquid.
Contractz had so much hesitation there. He had the ultimate available that entire time. You know Bwipo has no flash because he just flashed on your Ezreal mid lane. He just wasn't confident to go for it. I don't know if he was waiting for Poome to have a heal cooldown or what it was, but by the time he finally went for it, he just got blasted out of the air. Gets nothing. At the very least, they do stop the Baron, but again, CLG struggling on when to go for these fights, struggling on when to actually, really try to engage. Here it is one more time. The initial drop of the Chaos Storm just looked like it was straight up on nothing, and we'll see if that was the case. Yeah, just the first tick's on nothing. He does get some damage out, and the lasers do push them back. Bwipo obviously tanking the Baron, plus getting hit by this next laser, meant that they're able to actually really push forward. And this is where I feel like Contractz should just be ulting in and just pick up that one kill. Ult in on top of Bwipo. The devastating charge and E that's going to come in after will help you to clean that up, but you hesitate that much in front of a Collector Graves, he's going to pop you, and that's exactly what he did.
Oh, yeah. Well, Sama's trying to get away now. He has that lantern from Eyla to keep him safe there. And this is what I was talking about in the previous game about these hyper carries and having defensive supports with them. It just enables you to play so many more different ways when you know you have a way out. Santorin's here onto the side, so is
TP flank.
TP's coming in. Bjergsen is ready to join up with the rest of the fight.
Package.
He got the package ready for delivery, and Luger has no summoner spells to get home this time. Bjergsen goes in for the big engage, and he finds another. It's a double kill over to Hans as CLG's remaining players head for safety, and Team Liquid heads for Bear.
TL has really been showcasing the killer instinct in this game. They have found fight after fight after fight. No matter what comp they are running, they've just been going for it here, finding angles, whether it's Bwipo flashing in, whether it's the package from Bjergsen coming across. TL have been able to start fights when they need to, and now with the Baron in their back pocket, with 3 marksmen, the siege ability they have is so damn good.
And yes, they give away the Drake, but they don't really care. This game is currently on pace to be over before a soul ever becomes a possibility. It's not that big of a deal. They're breaking that tier 3 turret. There's what we talked about, the importance of Shelly early on. It's getting that 3rd charge, making sure they're able to knock that over. Team Liquid are in a great spot now. They are going back, they're shopping, everybody's ready, and now CLG really have to dig in to find this defense.
I mean, you can just start to see how big of a difference the gold is making. You're looking at these inventories. It just is not even close at this point. It's all an extra full item pretty much on top for every member here. Bwipo looking pretty wide up in that top lane. He's got 3.5, working towards the IE. When he picks up the IE with this much lethality, plus you hit that 60% crit and you have that bonus damage, 1 crit plus Q ball is just your full health as pretty much any squishy target.
At this point, you're not playing a shotgun character in an RPG. You're playing one in an FPS, and it's click, click, boom, 1-tap kill. Team Liquid pushing on this tier 2 turret here in the bottom lane. They still got Baron for almost another 2 minutes as CLG just have to concede everything outside those base walls. Team Liquid continue their push. Bwipo's the man on the side here in the 1-4 split to get maximum Baron value. Sama just continuing to volley those rockets in, clear out entire waves. Bjergsen will keep the poke going. No, it's not the Luden's build, but it's still got plenty of damage here. Also with rapid fire cannon allowing the auto attacks themselves to be more useful in the poke pattern as Team Liquid takes down the 2nd tier 3 turret of the game. Now they're gonna go for the 3rd. They're not even after the inhib themselves. They're just breaking all these walls. Contractz finally goes in, but it's with not a damn person near him. 5v4 for Team Liquid now. 3rd tier 3 turret gone. All inhibitors exposed. Team Liquid are doing whatever they damn well please.
Yeah, just not a good game here from Contractz going in on that ulti, but they are so far behind. Didn't have the coordination. No one's going in with him. He just dies off incredibly fast there. CLG being run over. 10K down. And they've gotten 4 objective bounties, and they're still 10K down. All the outer towers were objective bounties, and the dragon was an objective bounty. So really, this would be another couple thousand gold ahead that TL would be up. They are completely stomping CLG in this game after what was a very even early stage to the game.
And honestly, it just feels like all that's left is for TL to walk it in at this point. I mean, you took out 2 of the inhibs. The last one's open.
Yep.
Just walk it down top. Make sure that everybody's ready to go when you decide to go for that final team fight. And with a 5-digit gold lead, I don't see a world where CLG can do anything about it, barring a major error from TL.
Yeah, I mean, even if you find that perfect engage at this point, you're just kind of too far behind. You know, luxury items start coming through. Unless TL are stacked as 5 and all get hit by Hecarim Fear or something ridiculous.
Hecarim Fear, Yuumi ult, Viktor ult, all at once.
It's like, pretty much at this point, even if you insta-kill one of the marksmen, the other 2 are so fed that Contractz going in is just instant death for him, right? You know, even if you get a kill, when you go in, you are going to die so fast. He's so far down as far as experience goes. I mean, you're 4 levels down on the Graves. You're 4 levels down on this Corki. And that is TL doing an incredible job of just choking him out on this top side. This whole top side jungle has been really all theirs. This entire area has been all TL. He couldn't even enter that side of the map to get those external camps, you know, things like the Raptors or the Krugs. So it's been harder and harder for him.
Infinity Edges now completed on all 3 of those marksmen for TL. Bjergsen picked his up a moment ago. Bwipo now just completing his 2. That means nobody's burst can be disrespected even a little. Bwipo gonna try to apply the pressure here. Just goes right in after Jenkins. Nearly kills him, but close ain't enough. Contractz tries to go after Santorin now as well. Top lane inhibitor falls. That's all 3 inhibs gone. Team Liquid backing away a little bit now. Jenkins might be pushing his luck. Poome now going to be knocked to the side. Hans is unstoppable. Team Liquid looked like they might have been backing away for a moment, but why do that when you can do this? TL 5-0. I would say in the final fight, but that was more of a beatdown. They'll take CLG out 30 minutes into the game, 18-4. Team Liquid's looking good.
Really strong game here from TL, crushing CLG, leaving no doubt after that early game. And that's the kind of way you want to see them play this style of composition, right? They had so much confidence to be able to go in with this triple marksman comp. Eyla is really the only true engage, but they just made stuff happen because they created the advantages. Bwipo played with no fear whatsoever, constantly dashing in, flashing on people. Anytime he saw someone from CLG take a step too far one way or the other, he was on them. Just non-stop. Bjergsen had the confidence to follow up with that package. They had the long-range follow-up from Hansama with the ultimates as well, and that was a really confident game from Team Liquid.
It felt like a comms diff to me. Like you're talking about that mid lane play where we said Team Liquid did good early and then CLG did poorly late. It was Bwipo just saying, all right, flash auto, let's go after him. And everybody was there to follow up, while the entire time it felt like we were criticizing CLG for not having the courage to go in or the coordination to go in or whatever it might have been. They weren't on the same page and it looked like it. Team Liquid pull out the win, and we're breaking it down now with the State Farm